Hello and welcome to the Fandalorian, our first ever Star Wars award show. And in this show, we will be going over categories in the best and sometimes the worst of aspects of Star Wars. And you could also play along if you wish. You could open up WordPad and copy down what you think the answer would be. And then, if you wish, you could post those, you could paste it onto the comment section down below this video, or you could just write them out on a paper and copy them onto the comments and let me know what you think your answers would be if they, especially if they differ from mine. These are my opinions, and you'd probably have some different opinions about who you thought should win or what you think should win. So without further ado, let's get started on our first Fandalorian Award show. And in our first category, we have Best Scene in a Star Wars Movie. And the nominees are I Love You, I Know from Empire Strikes Back, I Am Your Father, also from Empire Strikes Back, or Luke and Vader on Endor from Return of the Jedi. And the winner is I Am Your Father from Empire Strikes Back.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No. I am your father.
And the reason I picked this scene is because even though one of my favorites is Luke and Vader on Endor, because it's just so powerful and it shows like all the emotion of Luke trying to bring his father back from the dark side, and it's just very gripping and the dialogue was just great. But the reason I had to go with I Am Your Father is because this is just the most iconic scene of all in the history of Star Wars so far anyways. And I remember when I was a boy watching this in the movie theater, and when this scene came on, it was just utter shock and dismay, and I was just in denial. I was thinking, no way, Vader's totally lying here. There's no way he's Luke's father, and I didn't accept it at all. But it was just that moment where it was just pure utter. I was just beside myself. So this also just left you guessing and wondering for the next 2 years until Return of the Jedi came out to answer that question. So I would have to go with that. It's the most iconic scene in Star Wars. So the winner is I Am Your Father. Now, the next category is Worst Scene in a Star Wars Movie. And the nominees for Worst Scene are Space Leia, the Jar Jar flip, or Vader yells no after finding out Padme is dead. And the winner is Space Leia. And there's no sound on this next scene due to copyright restrictions, so there's nothing wrong with your phone or set or however you're watching this. Now, Space Leia was pretty much a hands down pick because it's just the most cringe-worthy scene I've ever seen in just about any movie, never mind a Star Wars movie. And the tragic thing about this scene is that they could have taken this opportunity to write Leia right out of the storyline in a kind of respectful way instead of bringing her back in this ridiculous Mary Poppins like space floating scene that just looked so bad. So when Carrie Fisher passed in real life, when the actress passed, they could have taken this opportunity to just write out Leia and have her out of the movies, but no, they just totally missed it, and they had to put this really bad scene in there. And I remember seeing this in the theaters. I was embarrassed to be a Star Wars fan. I wanted to just shrink down in my seat and vanish, but it was just so bad, and I'm sure most people can agree with me on this one. The runner up, which was very close, was Vader yelling no after he finds out Padme dies. This was just really cringeworthy as well, and it's just Vader. Just if you get a chance, just watch that scene again. Vader yelling no, just the way he yells it. It's just so bad. It's just horrible. All right, in our next category, we have Best Villain. And the nominees are Boba Fett, Darth Vader, Darth Maul, Grand Moff Tarkin, or Jabba the Hutt. And the winner is Darth Vader. So the reason Darth Vader won this, and as you know, if you know me and you've like been watching the previous shows, I'm a huge Boba Fett fan, and maybe you thought I would have picked Boba Fett, but no, I had to go with what the popular belief here, the popular pick is Darth Vader, and I agree with that. I think he was the best villain in Star Wars. He had this ominous air about him. He was as a child watching this, as a kid when watching Vader, he was just so bad. He was bad in a good way, you know. He was just had this aura of evil about him, and he was so menacing, and he just struck fear in everyone he walked by, all his officers, his commanders, and he just didn't take anything from anybody. So he had the whole breathing, the ominous breathing from the suit. He was just such an iconic figure, and he's probably one of the best villains of all time, not just in Star Wars, but you know, he's just so, of course, he's obviously so recognizable as just a great villain. So then that leads us to our next category, which will be Worst Actor. And there were no nominees for this category because there aren't really too many bad actors to choose from. So this one won hands down, and it would have to go to Hayden Christensen as his portrayal of Anakin Skywalker in the prequels.
Excuse me. I'm in charge of security here, milady.
And I mean, I really want to like the guy. He seems like a likable, you know, Hayden Christensen seems like a likable guy in real life. But it's just, he just butchered a lot of scenes in the prequels. Like the romance scenes with Padme are just so robotic and unemotional and not believable at all. And just when he tries to come out with his lines, just seem so forced, you know. So it would have to go to him. I'm hoping that when he comes back in the Obi-Wan series, I'm hoping he does a good job. I'm really pulling for him. Maybe he's gotten better. I don't know. I haven't really seen him in anything else. I know he's been in some other movies, and maybe I should check those out and see how he's acting in those. But he was just abhorrent in the prequels. What can I say? So the next category is Best Actor, and the nominees are Ewan McGregor for his portrayal of Obi-Wan Kenobi, Sir Alec Guinness as his portrayal of an older Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Harrison Ford as his portrayal as Han Solo. And the winner is Ewan McGregor for his portrayal as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
So uncivilized.
Now, I know some of you out there might be groaning and not agreeing with me on this one, but hear me out. I can understand why you might feel that he wouldn't get Best Actor, but I think he really brought out the young Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, he was very charismatic. He was witty. He was charming. I think he did a good job in his lines. His acting was right on par. And given what he had to deal with some horrific acting by Hayden Christensen, which he had to play opposite of many times, I feel that he knocked it out of the park. So that's why I picked Ewan McGregor for this one. And I'd be really interested to see if you agree with me or if you disagree and why. So comment down below and let me know who you would have picked or if you agree. All right. So our next category will be Best Jedi. And the nominees are Yoda, Jedi Knight Luke, Mace Windu, Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi, or Ahsoka Tano. And the winner is Yoda.
No, no different. Only different in your mind. You must unlearn what you have learned.
All right, I'll give it a try.
No, try not. Do. Or do not. There is no try.
Now, how could you not like Yoda? How could you not love Yoda? Yoda was just so great. He was wise. He talked in that lovable backward speech. He was just such a great Jedi. I just can't say enough about him. I mean, of course, Obi-Wan was probably the runner-up in my opinion, but Yoda just knocked it out of the park. Ironically, he was a puppet, but they did a real good job with him, and you just gotta love Yoda. That's all. All right, so our next category is Best Droid, and the nominees are C-3PO, R2-D2, K-2SO, or BB-8. And the winner is K-2SO.
There are a lot of explosions for two people blending in.
Freeze, right there!
You're right. I should just wait on the ship.
Sorry, R2-D2. I know you've been there all along. You've been reliable. You've been the droid that's helped out. You fixed the hyperdrive in the Millennium Falcon in a great scene where everyone applauded in the theaters. And you would have won if this smart-ass, sarcastic K-2SO hadn't come along into our lives in the Rogue One movie. This K-2SO just... how could you not love this droid? He has all the great one-liners. He's just like pessimistic, but in a funny way. He's sarcastic. He's just the things he says to Andor are just great. It's just the way he like talks to him and back talks, and he's a smart ass. So I just loved K-2SO, and R2 would have been the winner if it had not been for this droid. So I'd like to see what your thoughts are in this one as well, if you agree with me here or not, and why. So that leads us to our next category, which is Worst Droid. And there was only one nominee for this one. There were no really horrible droids, just one that came to mind. And the winner is the OOM Battle Droid.
Check it out, Corporal. We'll cover you. Roger, roger. Uh-oh.
Now, the reason this droid was picked was just the cheesy one-liners. And who would program a droid to say uh-oh when something bad happens? Why would a droid even say that? That makes no sense. It's just... And then the Roger, Roger all the time. This Roger, Roger. It was just... These droids were so bad. It was just... They were laughable. They were like... Keystone Cops of the old days, you know, they just fumbling and bumbling all over themselves. It's just so bad. Then this leads us to our next category, which is Best Movie. And the nominees are A New Hope, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, Return of the Jedi, or Empire Strikes Back. And the winner is Empire Strikes Back. Now, this was a no-brainer, at least for me, and I'm sure a lot of other people agree too, from what I've seen. But Empire Strikes Back just had it all. It had all the movies pretty much had good action, but this had like the best of the action scenes. The Empire was hard-hitting, coming back, taking prisoners, and it just left you just so many dramatic moments. Yoda with his training of Luke, and then Vader with his interaction with Luke as well. And it was just the way they left it, like a cliffhanger, like what's going to happen to Han Solo, and is Vader really Luke's father, and all that. It was just such a great movie. It just blew all the others away, in my opinion, I think, except for maybe A New Hope. A New Hope was very close, being as it was the first Star Wars movie we were introduced to, and it was also a very legendary movie, in my opinion. And that brings us to our nominees for Worst Movie. And they are The Last Jedi, Attack of the Clones, Solo, or Phantom Menace. And the winner is The Last Jedi. All right. Well, that also, I think, was a no-brainer right there. Even though Attack of the Clones was pretty horrible, and before Last Jedi came along, I think Attack of the Clones would have won this one. But just Last Jedi brought us all these bad things. And it created that rift between the old and the new Star Wars fans, which just should have never have happened. And it was just a slap in the face to us. So it was just, you had Luke Skywalker, who was just so bad, like throwing his lightsaber off the cliff at the beginning, and he didn't want to get involved. He was just not acting like Luke at all. And then, of course, you had the floating space Leia, which we went over before. You had the horrible casino scene and the dumb animals that they rode on, which was just, it looked so goofy in that casino scene. So yeah, Last Jedi, thanks for that, Ryan Johnson. And you win worst movie of Star Wars, hands down. And that brings us to our final category, which is worst character in a Star Wars movie. And I think we can all hopefully agree on this one. So there's not going to be any nominees on this one at all, because hands down, the winner is Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, muy, I love you.
You almost got us killed. Are you brainless?
I speak.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent. Now get out of here.
No, Mr. Stay. Mr. called Jar Jar Binks. Mr. Your humble servant.
That won't be necessary.
So I think the way Jar Jar Binks came to fruition from the mind of George Lucas was because he was just there to cater to the little kids. And he thought, I guess Lucas thought it would be funny to put in like this idiotic, stupid alien and do all these dumb things, and the kids would get a good laugh out of it. Maybe some kids loved it, but it really turned off a lot of older people, and was just so bad. And Jar Jar just was a ham, and it wasn't funny. He was just so beyond stupid. And I think Lucas had these moments where he would do these things. Like, I think that's why he put the Ewoks in to Return of the Jedi for the kids again. And it just kind of spoiled it for the rest of us. I really didn't agree with the Ewoks. In fact, I believe they were supposed to be Wookiees, which would have made a lot more sense. The Wookiees would have been there, I could see how the Wookiees would win against the Stormtroopers, but not the Ewoks with their rocks and the spears and the logs, and it's just it's just so dumb. But that's a conversation for another day. So that was our Star Wars Awards show. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. If there are any other categories you think I should have added in this, please write them down in the comment below. Maybe I'll do another awards show with those categories at some further date. And please comment like what you thought should have won if your picks didn't make it, and why. And I'd like to hear from you. So we will be back next week with a new show, and I hope to see you all there. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a single video. May the force be with you.